6 questions about the safety of the driverless cars we are seeing more of on our streets and highways.
The feds are tracking crashes and traffic violations with all those Waymo self-driving cars. You see them all over the valley from Central Phoenix into Chandler. And tonight, investigative reporter Morgan Lowe is looking into this new federal report. How serious are most of these crashes?
The crashes themselves don't appear to be too serious. We found only 2 reports of any injuries, and they were minor. But the questions these crashes raise are big enough that there is now an official investigation into 22 incidents in Arizona and California. They are a common sight on our streets, but Waymo appears to have hit a speed bump. 8 of the 22 incidents under investigation occurred in Arizona. Our review of the incident reports showed they involved the vehicles striking objects on the road or in parking lots, including parking lot barrier arms, gates, and rocks in the road. In all, we found Waymo has reported 54 incidents in Arizona since the beginning of 2023.
I think it is good that the government is investigating these.
Avril Shrivastava is a professor in the School of Computing and Artificial Intelligence at ASU. He says there is still work to do to make these vehicles even safer, but Shrivastava argues they're already among the safest vehicles on the road.
Even after these accidents, actually, statistically, autonomous vehicles are safer than human drivers.
A Waymo company spokesperson sent us a statement that reads in part, "We currently serve over 50,000 weekly trips for our riders in some of the most challenging and complex environments. We are proud of our performance and safety record, over tens of millions of autonomous miles driven, and the company will work with federal investigators." But this is not the first problem with autonomous vehicles here in Arizona. In 2018, an Uber car driving in full autonomous mode struck and killed a bicyclist in Tempe. In California last year, a Cruise vehicle operating without a driver struck and dragged a pedestrian for 20 feet before stopping. Now, Cruise is coming to Arizona.
As a Phoenix citizen, I am also a bit concerned with this news.
Avril Shrivastava says driverless cars have come a long way in a short amount of time, and artificial intelligence promises to make them exponentially safer. But it's going to take more time.
I would think in decades, not in years.
Wow.
So maybe 1 decade if we are fast, but it needs some more time to become more generally intelligent.
So this is how Professor Shrivastava explained it to me. These autonomous vehicles are really good at a vast majority of the driving conditions and situations out there. But the 22 incidents that are under investigation all involve unusual and unique situations.
Yeah, and none of them are terribly serious from what you're finding, but there's more to the federal investigation, right?
Yeah, so what they're trying to do is find links and commonalities involved in these situations. All of them involved Waymo's 5th-generation driving system. And these investigators want to see how that system responds to traffic control devices as well as stationary objects on or off the road. That's what they've said.
It is fascinating technology. A lot of us like to take those around town, so we'll be watching to see what this investigation finds. Thanks, Morgan.